Welcome to the Hire Revolution. Our goal and purpose is to inspire and educate human resources professionals here in the U.S. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, and we are here today to discuss some very relevant and hot topics with human resources phenom Paul Falcone. Paul is a seasoned HR executive and the author of 10 books, including 96 great interview questions to ask before hiring, good book, 75 ways for managers to hire, develop, and keep great employees, and 101 tough conversations to have with employees. I've read this a few times. He is a fantastic and well-respected individual. He's sought after for TV, radio shows, and is a featured speaker for SHRM. Paul Falcone, welcome to the Hire Revolution.
Thank you, Eve. Thank you. I love
Let's talk about
books. That's really cool.
I don't know how you keep a full-time job and write all those books, but you're an amazing person.
Thank you.
So let's talk about how companies are thriving and hiring amidst the COVID-19 crisis. We're going to jump into a discussion about your thoughts of the panacea to the COVID-19 pandemic and social unrest, and that is becoming someone's favorite boss. They say that the glue that binds someone to an organization is the relationship with their immediate supervisor. Would you agree with that?
Well, yes, I would. There's that expression, Eve, that says people join companies, but they leave supervisors.
Yes.
It's kind of true. It's like, oh, I'm so happy I'm going to this company. I've always wanted to work for this company. 2 years later, like, get me out of here.
Right.
I don't have a good relationship with the boss. And so that really is the most important relationship that person has with the entire company. Mm-hmm. Teaching your frontline management team how to foster the sense of becoming someone's favorite boss is a great way to go.
Yeah. That's awesome. How do you mentor people? So when it comes to with career and professional development, how do you mentor them into that role?
If you talk to people, it's a good question. If you talk to people about professional and career development, they don't quite know what that means. And some of them who are a little bit more on the suspicious side are going to be trying to get rid of me.
Right.
So you gotta be careful. The way I do it is, instead of talking about professional and career development, which is kind of big words and big concepts, we're just talking about how do you become someone's favorite boss. When I do this for the management training audiences that I typically lead, I just tell them real simply, think about your favorite boss and what made him or her that person for you. And if I do it in a live audience, I'll ask them to raise their hands, and they'll typically say things like, she always had my back. She made me feel like I could do more than I thought I was capable of doing at the time.
Right.
Trusted by her, and I felt included. Now my question to the audience is always, okay, but are you describing the person's beingness, or you describe the person's doingness? Like, huh? And I'm like, no, seriously, what you're describing right there in your favorite boss, is it a function of who they are, or their beingness, or is it a function of what they do? And someone says, yeah, both. And it is kind of both, but really push it. Which one if you had to choose? And the bottom line is, what they come to realize, it's about their beingness.
Yes.
Okay. The reason why that's important, Eve, is we're all chasing our tails, running around everything in our lives. What are you doing? And the truth of the matter is, if you want to hire better, and you want to retain more people, and you want them to perform at a higher level, you just have to be quiet a little bit, forget all the outside noise, and just think about, who do I choose to be relative to this concept of being someone's favorite boss? I want from someone who was my favorite boss. And then you figure out, how do I pay this forward for my people? It's not that hard. When you talk about performance management, leadership development, the concept is, in most companies, I do the performance review once a year for my employees, and I have to do it because HR tells me I have to do it, so there's merit increase.
Those people in HR.
I'm telling you, God love them. But the reality is, you have to think about the performance review as an annual report. And we know in finance that there's never an annual report that's not preceded by 4 quarterly updates. You have to sit with people and give them an environment to sit and talk with you about their goals, educationally, what they want to do with their careers, and hear where they want to take that. And when you put yourself in a position just to listen, you automatically become a mentor and coach to your employees. And they love it. They thrive on this stuff because they don't get it at most companies. And they're not need you either. When you tell them, I want for you what you want for you, and I want to help you build your resume with achievement bullets, right? And I'll help you quantify them in terms of increased revenue and decreased costs and greater efficiency. And I want you to put that on your LinkedIn profile. I really want you to strengthen your profile on LinkedIn. At first they're like, this guy can't be real. But you know what?
Right.
This is really cool. I'm motivating them to motivate themselves. And so the rule on the motivation, Eve, is I can't motivate you any more than you can motivate me, because motivation is internal.
Mm-hmm.
But as a manager, as a leader, you are responsible for creating an environment in which people can motivate themselves. And this does it. It's a very, very simple prism to look through. How do I become someone's favorite boss? And as soon as you start thinking that way as a leader, you're going to start doing the things that focus on career development, professional development, or work-life balance and those types of things. So it's a great exercise for people in leadership roles to really go through, but it's also good for people who aren't in leadership roles yet, because they need to project who do they choose to be when they get to that stage. And it'll really help them kind of develop themselves. It's a self-development technique, but it works really, really well.
What is the golden rule that you've preached to your teams over time that seems to calm the storm and refocus them on their performance?
So two things. What I like to do, there's a little bit of a philosopher in me, but part of me is, I know that we all live in the weeds. So when I have discussions with my teams, I take them up to the 30,000 foot view. I need them to be able to look down at what's happening and understand what's going on.
Right.
Whether it's COVID, whether it's social unrest in the streets, politics, whatever. I want them to see it objectively. That calms them down. And then the second thing, in the way I would end a meeting like that, is to talk to them about, you guys, how important it is that we have each other's backs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's something to me it creates a perception of trust. And the fact is, if I've got other people's backs and they've got my backs, I can do my best work every day.
Right.
I'm not worried about all the drama that goes on in most workplaces, but it's got to stem from the top. And when the leader sets those expectations, discusses them, and makes it very transparent to everyone that that's what makes you tick, you will be surprised how people will fall in line, because that is your expectation as a manager, and they'll typically do what you say when it comes to that. That's how you change your culture, is by sitting with them, talking to them, letting them know kind of that it's safe, that we're okay, but there are expectations of us in terms of performance and productivity. And let's figure out how we're going to document what we're doing and make sure we're communicating with one another, especially if part of our team is working remotely. And how do you move forward under today's environment? So it's kind of a macro micro approach, but it works very, very well.
So we've all had employees who come across as entitled or otherwise burnt out in their roles. How, Paul, do you develop an achievement mentality when dealing with these employees? Again, they feel entitled, they're burnt out. How do you do that?
It's not easy. What I find, Eve, is the ones that are typically either burned out or just kind of angry or entitled, they need a little bit more one-on-one time for me. That's how I feel. It's like, I'm going to spend a little bit more one-on-one time. Most managers are like, Paul, I don't have the time. And I'm like, yes, you do. I'm not talking 2 hours. I'm talking 10 minutes.
Right.
That managing a walking around concept is really important. They need to know you're real. They need to know you're there. I mean, I hate to say it, I'll use the metaphor. It's a little bit like Papa's home. Dad's home. I want my people to feel comfortable, or mom, female, whatever. But it's that time with them and finding out where they are and asking them questions about their career. Because I don't care, well, Paul, we've been working together for 20 years as a team, and we don't need to do that. And it's like, yes, you do. What you talk about on the shop floor every day is not career discussion, professional development discussion, classes you want to take, certifications you want to get. And not everyone's going to have that. For some people, they want more work-life balance. Whatever it is, you really do need to listen, and you need to know your people, at least your direct reports. Your extended reports, you probably can't do that. You may have 100 extended reports, but maybe you only have half a dozen direct reports. Spend your time with those 6 people. Make sure they're doing the same thing for their people. And that's how you're projecting it forward in you. But like everything else, when they act out, sometimes they just want a little bit more attention. And I'm not saying that no matter what you do, I'm going to keep being the coach and mentor. But start off with coaching and mentoring before you become the disciplinarian and the terminator. I think it starts that way, and you can fix most of those problems by even using the words, I want to spend more time coaching you. I want to spend more time in kind of an executive coaching type of role. And I think it would help if you'll be okay with me doing that with you. Most of them are not going to say, no way, I'm too bitter for that. And I'm not Most will say, well, I guess, I don't know, okay.
Right.
You find when you're giving them the positive attention, they will usually respond that way.
And they rise up.
So they rise up, yeah.
That's excellent. Paul, thank you for your time, for your expertise. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today on the Hire Revolution. Please tell us where we can get more information from you or get in contact with you.
Sure, Eve. Anyway, I'd welcome a LinkedIn invite. If anyone wants to connect on LinkedIn, I'm just Paul Falcone 1. So that's easy enough. And on my website, which is paulfalconehr.com, everything is on there. The phone numbers, the connections, the books, the article, everything, you know, free PowerPoint downloads. I've got it all on there. So feel free to visit the website if you'd like.
Excellent. Well, we are blessed and honored to have you here with us today. Thank you again for sharing your time with us, Paul.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Hire Revolution, sponsored by Banded Hands. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on YouTube. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, and we'll see you next time on Hire Revolution.